Are you ready for some great news? I actually think some people in our government are actually stepping up to serve the people, to protect the people. The CDC, which recommended the COVID-19 vaccine for babies, for pregnant women, they've now pulled those recommendations. Well, why'd they make those recommendations in the first place? That's highly debatable. A lot of people say there was only one reason. That was to expand the profits. Why did they pull them? Because they found out it was actually very, very bad for women and kids. Huge risk, almost no benefit. So recall that this was a very new technology. What they did is they injected genetic material into you. RNA, messenger RNA, ribonucleic acid, which, by the way, that is a spike protein genetic signal that goes into something called the ribosome. And then the ribosome makes spike proteins, and these proteins then can go either on the cell surface or apparently throughout the body, getting on many, many tissues. Now, we got to figure out, did the vaccine go, for instance, to the brain and make the brain cells, the nerve cells, make the spike protein? Or was the spike protein made and then went all over the body? I think time will tell. I actually think the vaccine went everywhere and the cells are making it. And that could be even more harsh because that gives the immune system a reason to kill those cells. Now, they thought they'd give this injection, it would stay in the arm. That didn't happen. They thought that would go, then start making certain numbers of spike proteins for a short period of time. Well, they weren't right about that either. They didn't study it anywhere near long enough to figure out what it would do. And it turns out that Yale has done a study where some people are having the spike protein still in their body 709 days after vaccination. You can look that up and verify that for yourself. There's something out there called post-vaccine syndrome, whether you're talking about fatigue, exercise intolerance, neurologic symptoms like brain fog, difficulty concentrating, anxiety, neuropathy, which could be numbness and or nerve pain, ringing in the ears, all kinds of things that people don't want to have. These are going on years after the shot, and they're calling it post-vaccine syndrome. Now, it's interesting. I went to AI and I said, what is the prevalence of post-vaccine syndrome? And guess what? It goes from anywhere from 3 in 100,000 people. And by the way, I know a lot of practitioners all over the world, and we're seeing offices full of people with post-vaccine syndrome, and up to 2 in 3. Now, I think both are overestimates or underestimates, right? 3 in 100,000, no way. 2 out of 3, hard to imagine, because our offices would be full with nothing but these patients. But I got to tell you, they're plentiful. Is it 1 in 3, 1 in 5, 1 in 10? At one point, long COVID, long vax was considered 1 in 5, 1 in 8. Those are references I could wrap my head around and agree with. But here's the sad reality. Some of us didn't have a choice. If you wanted to travel, too bad, you're part of the experiment. You want to keep your job, too bad, you're part of the experiment. Let's make sure as a world, we never let that happen again. We should not have governing bodies tell us what we should or should not do with our bodies. Here's the history of vaccines. You start looking at the turn of this last century, 800 of 1,000 people died of infectious disease. And by the way, that was all about having poor sanitation, poor hygiene, not understanding microbes, not washing your hands, just simply good plumbing and hand washing probably saved tens of millions of lives, maybe even billions. So notice there was a 75% reduction in death rate from infectious disease before penicillin, before antibiotics, and over 90% reduction in death rate from infectious disease before widespread vaccines. So how much did vaccines increase longevity? Some people like me are going to say there's no evidence that they did it at all. And this is very, very disturbing. This was a 2011 study. You can see the PubMed ID 215-43527. But the black line is the actual graph. They found out that more vaccines was associated with a higher infant death rate. I didn't say it caused the higher infant death rate. It's associated. We need to look at that. If more vaccines saved life, look at the red dotted line that I added to that diagram. Well, you get another vaccine, you should live longer. You get another vaccine, or death rate should drop. You get another vaccine, death rate should drop. Another vaccine, childhood death rate should drop. But what do we see? More vaccines, more death rate. And this was a study of over 30 different countries. So what do we want to do about this? Well, I'll tell you what, always do your due diligence. RFK says, don't trust your doctor. Hey, I've said that all along. Don't even trust me. Look at the PubMeds, look at the data. Be careful about AI because, oh my gosh, AI is still very, very biased to the narrative that the drug companies want to tell you. And we're finding out that maybe, just maybe, they were interested in profits more than the effects of their recommendations. Do your due diligence. Have a beautiful day. And as always, I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful.